Hey everyone, welcome to Anita's Joint, hashtag extendAJoint, where every day is payday, baby. And it's your girl Anita flying high, and we are reading. So, we are reading, once again, Number of Games, 9/11 to Coronavirus by Zachary K. Hubbard. I put his YouTube in the description as well, so you can check him out and his work. We read chapter 1 yesterday, so we're going to hop into chapter 2. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to the whole soul group. And yes. Let me see. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so we are reading chapter 2, 1968, the year of the coronavirus and the 9/11 master plan. 1968 was a very tragic year. 1987 was a very significant year, full of tragedy, tragedy and plotting. In terms of tragedy, one of many included a gunshot that ended Martin Luther King Jr.'s life on April 4th, 4/4, the well-remembered civil rights leader. For your gematria learning, his demise was on a date corresponding with the word kill, summoning to 44, using simple English gematria, and shooting, summoning to 44 with Pythagorean. And remember, Pythagorean gematria is the numerology code gematria, and the simple gematria is just like A is 1 all the way to Z is 26. Okay. Same as execution. Making matters all the more suspicious, his murder came 1 year to the day of his speech Beyond Vietnam, a time to break silence, given April 4th, 1968, at the Riverside Church in New York, where he said, "The heart of all that was wrong in the United States, including racism, was the U.S. military agenda that was responsible for bringing so much hatred, death, destruction, and darkness into the world. Perhaps it isn't a coincidence then that military sums to 44 with Pythagorean gematria, or that our history books state the assassination of Caesar took place in 44 BC, a man who led one of the greatest militaries of all times. After all, they do say the victors write the history books, and all roads lead to Rome. As for the Jesuit influence in the English language and its one secret gematria code, do not look past the fact that the word infantry has Pythagorean gematria of 44, or the soldiers equate to 44 with reverse Pythagorean gematria. In the case of the first word infantry, it has infant and a, showing that the cabal knows what they are doing, taking advantage of the youth and exploiting them for the purpose of their militaristic agendas. And with regards to soldier, it has word soul and die in it. Of course, soul is the Spanish word for sun, and it is the beginning of the word solar, relating to the sun's energy. At the same time, the last letter in the word is R, the 18th letter, corresponding with the gematria of IHS, as well as sun, as well as the age most young people join the military at. Furthermore, the Jesuit logo is the sun with the acronyms IHS in the middle of it, and you must keep in mind the Art of War by Sun Tzu, emphasized on sun, was translated in 1772 by a Jesuit in France. And further, some historians contend there never was a Sun Tzu, a man who believed to have died at to be have believed to have died at either age 46 or 47, where Catholic and Vatican equate to 46 and 47, respectively, and of course, France also sums to 47, reminding us all El Infant, who laid out Washington, D.C., the 47th city, and the heart of the Cabal military empire. And if at this point you're thinking about the number 44 and MLK, and you're wondering about Barack Obama, a name summoning to 68 with simple English, think 1968. Who became president at 47? Who became president at age 47? And who became the 44th president-elect 44 years later, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act? And who ran his campaign on hope, summoning to 44 with simple English? Then you're wondering about the right things, and yes, your questions will be answered. After MLK, another well-remembered gunshot came, ending Robert Kennedy's life. June 6/6, the man who brought the news of MLK's murder to the minds of many with his televised words. Also not by coincidence, Robert Kennedy sums to 6/6, the same cipher as his assassin, Sirhan, both with the Pythagorean cipher complementing the date of the death, 6/6. Patterns such as these bring new meanings to the age-old expression, your number is up. We'll touch more on both assassinations ahead, and we'll even discuss JFK and Lincoln's, because they all come together through one number that points with great intensity at the Jesuit order. And for those that hate cliffhangers, I'll give you half of the story now. Martin Luther King Jr. was not born with the name. He was born Michael King Jr. The name he assumed, Martin Luther, was the name of the leader of the Protestant Reformation against the Catholic Church that transpired after he published the 95 Theses exposing the church wrongdoings. For his efforts, the Jesuit order was created with the purpose of killing Martin Luther and his followers. Not by chance, the Jesuits were recognized by Rome on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year to counter these 95 theists of Martin Luther's campaign. And that brings us to the fact that Martin Luther King Jr. was killed on the 95th day of 1968, a leap year, and also a date with 95 numerology. 4 plus 4 plus 19 plus 68 equals 95. That's the half of it. For your learning, you should know that Jesus, Savior of Men, a Jesuit motto, equates to 95 with reverse Pythagorean, and also MLK was a follower of Jesus Christ. Moving on, the infamous year, including the 1968 pandemic, also known as the Hong Kong flu, that reportedly killed at least millions and as many as 4 million people. 1968 was the year the term coronavirus was coined. 1968 was the year of what is believed to be the first documented HIV case, coming from City Hospital, summoning to 68 in reverse Pythagorean. 1968 was the year 911 was established as the emergency dialing code to the U.S., and the first call made on February 16, 1968, the 47th day of the year. 1968 was the year World Trade Center construction began in New York on the 75th Meridian West. 1968 was also the year George W. Bush, the president at the time of 9/11, graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, a man with a July 6, 1946 birthday meaning September 11th is the 68th day of his age year. Seriously, what are the odds of that? Answer: about 1 in 365. Let us not forget his father's speech, the 41st President George H.W. Bush, on September 11th, 1990, 11 years on the day, about the new world order and it being freer of terror. Of course, the word terror sums to 68 with reverse simple English. As we know, that was W's favorite word. And more than a decade later, I'm still trying to figure out how to correctly write the way he would pronounce it. Terror. No matter how, W's father, H.W., was a member of Skull and Bones, the same as his father, Prescott, and with the same as W himself, and fitting Skull and Bones and fittingly, Skull and Bones sums to 41 with Pythagorean gematria, tying in with HW being the 41st president, and September 11, 2001, taking place on the date with 41 numerology. We got 9/11/2001 equals 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 01 equals 41. Furthermore, the attack was blamed on Al-Qaeda, summoning to 41 with simple English, similar to how Saudi Arabia equates to 41 with Pythagorean, where the majority of the hijackers were said to be from. Keep in mind, 41 is the 13th prime number, and Skull and Bones is the U.S. offshoot of the Bolivian Illuminati that was established with 13 families on May 1st, 1776. Skull and Bones is also a fraternity located at building number 322 on the Yale campus, a number they identify by, just as Tim Russert, who prior to his untimely death at age 58, asked George W. Bush and John Kerry about being in Skull and Bones and the significance of 322. While they were the two representative candidates for U.S. president in the 2004 race, Bush representing the Republicans and Kerry representing the Democrats. Adding to the relevance of this number, as we covered earlier, the founder of the Bolivian Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, died November 18, 1830, the 322nd day of the year, leaving 43 days remaining. Just got some tea. As for the son, George W. Bush, being the 43rd president, he and his father attended Yale, as stated. These matters because Yale sums to 43 with simple English. You might recall how George W. Bush was announced the 43rd president-elect after Florida called the election in his favor. This is funny at the time because his brother, Jeb, was the current 43rd governor of Florida, not by chance. Florida sums to 43 with reverse Pythagorean gematria, same as Masonic. On the Masonic tip, the letters DC are 4.3, and don't forget that HW, the 44th president, he has the 43rd vice president. He was the 43rd vice president. And prior to that, he was the 11th director of the CIA, an alphabetic agency with the acronym summoning to 68 in reverse simple English. 1968 was the beginning of a new age, and not a positive one for humanity, but one that we're feeling the consequences of today. It is probably no accident that the word age sums to 68 with reverse simple English, or the word solar system equates to 68 with reverse Pythagorean. Seeing as how it is the movement of all the planets in relation to the sun and stars that dictates the age. As I write this, HBO has announced they're removing Gone with the Wind, summoning to 68 in reverse Pythagorean, from their movie platform, a classic title that opened in 1968 Cannes Films Festival that was ended prematurely by the civil unrest and rioting. The reason for this is the reason for its 2020 removal, in the words of HBO, is that it needs to be culturally reframed in the wake of George Floyd's death and the rioting caused by the video of his death being shown in mainstream media thereafter. Thus, if the times are changing, so is the age. But we must understand these things are being forced and not coming about naturally or to anyone's benefit except the cabal. For one more spark of the mind on the rigged selection of George W. Bush, and for the purpose of exposing how rigged the game is, when Florida was called in his favor, he received the 271st Electoral College vote, the 58th prime number, connecting to Pythagorean gematria, George W. Bush, summoning to 58. And yes, this is the same cipher that Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Secret Society, and Solomon's Temple equate to 58. At the same time, Bush sums to 58 with reverse simple English, reminding that Tim Russert, who asked Bush and Kerry about Skull and Bones, didn't make it past the age 58, dying on his 38th day of his age, where the word death, number, killing, and RIP each have gematria of 38. Tim Russert, May 7th, 1950 through June 13th, 2008. The day leaving 201 days left in the year. Next time you see a poster movie for Murder by Numbers, you'll be sure to notice two letters are changed to numbers, the E to the 3 and the B to an 8. Thus, 3 and 8, like 38. And on the subject of 58, not, and on the subject of 58, never forget King James, who has the King James Version Bible named after him, died at age 58 unexpectedly. He was a Rosicrucian and a Freemason, and for other reminder, biblical sums to 58 with reverse Pythagorean. We'll touch more on King James and the biblical ritual when we get to Kobe Bryant's suspicious death, January 26, 2020, a day after being passed by LeBron James in all-time points scored, aka King James, in Kobe Bryant's hometown, Philadelphia. Never mind, the Church of Philadelphia is referred in Revelations 3:7, thus a city name having biblical roots, or the cartoon name Chamberlain Heights foreshadowed Kobe's death in a helicopter crash in a November 16th episode, written 16/11, like 1611, the year King James Version Bible was published. And while we're at it, never mind that Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe Bryant each equate to 58. Back on the subject of 1968, it was the year the Quran code was reported to be discovered, showing how the holy book is encoded with the number 19 from cover to cover through simple calculations, such as how the 114 chapters on the text, or 114 surats, are divisible by 19. 19 times 6 equals 114. 1968 was also the year Mohad Atta was born, said to be the ringleader of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 and the oldest of the group, having turned 33 on September 1st, 2001, a standout age for self-sacrifice. It almost makes you say Jesus Christ. For the record, it was reported that his hijacked craft, Flight 11, flew into the 110th story World Trade Center towers that appeared as a massive number 11 in the skyline at the 11th state, New York, on the 11th day of the month. In light of Jesus Christ point, consider September 11th, 2001, a Year, New Year's Day at the Christian Coptic calendar. Where we at right there? And it is the date some researchers contend to be the true birthday of Jesus, coming just 3 days after September 8th, the date the date the Catholic Church celebrates as the Virgin Mary's birthday. Virgin Mary's birthday. Furthermore, the name Jesus sums to 11 with Pythagorean gematria. When you are aware of this, you can understand why Revelations sums to 121 with simple English and having a number and oh shit. When you're aware of this, you can understand why Revelations sums to 121 with simple English, a number having a square root of 11, and being the concluding book of the Holy Bible. Dealing with the return of Jesus and the suffering of the world must endure before that time. Keep in mind, when you add 1 through 11 together, it sums to 66. And Revelations is the 66th book of the Bible and the final book of the New Testament, summoning to 66 with reverse Pythagorean. For another math sums to 66 with reverse simple English, and of course, the New Testament begins with the book of Matthew. Excuse me. All right. Coming back to the man born in 1968, Atta, who died at 33 on what some would argue is Jesus' birthday, it is noteworthy the word crucifixion sums to 68 using Pythagorean gematria, another relevant word equating to 68 in light of the story of Jesus beginning in the book of Matthew, and the word mathematics itself using the reverse Pythagorean cipher. Related to the value of mathematics summoning to 68, the subject sacred geometry equates to 68 with Pythagorean gematria. If you have read my first book, Letters and Numbers, you will be well aware of the relationship between the gematria and of the English language and the scarce numbers of sacred geometry, and how those numbers connect to spiritual traditions, including Christianity and Jesus. For example, the most important shapes in sacred geometry is the flower of life that is made up of 61 overlapping circles, and those circles represent all creation. Using reverse simple English, Jesus sums to 61, not unlike how church sums to 61 with simple English, or Christian sums to 61 with reverse Pythagorean, same like Christmas. To take it a bit further, there are 13 circles in what is known as the fruit of life and sacred geometry. That rest in the middle of the flower of life, not unlike Jesus and his 12 disciples, or the sun and his 12 constellations. Thus 13 and 13 adding the riddle into thus 13 and 13. Adding to the riddle with Jesus, who spoke in riddles, the word fruit sums to 74 with simple English and 61 with reverse simple English, the exact same as Jesus and cross. Returning to Muhammad Atat, what was reportedly leading him to his great sacrifice on the 74th meridian west at the age 33 were the master orders from Osama bin Laden, or cave dweller, as the president called him. Not by chance, Osama bin Laden, cave dweller, and president each equate to 110 with simple English. Gematria, same as Adolf Hitler, the biggest historical villain next to Osama, who was born April 20th, 1889, the 110th day of the year. This set a this set of 110 pairs perfectly with the 110 story tall twin towers that were proposed by the Rockefeller family, a subname summoning to 110 with simple English as well. In the 10th chapter of this book, we'll discuss the Rockefellers Foundation 2010's document, Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. In the document, it brainstorms the future potential control structures of the world, and there is one referred to as lockstep style government, where there is a massive surveillance grid for the populace, authoritarian rule, and much pushback from the people. I bring this up because in the time of the coronavirus and writing this book, mass surveillance grids are being installed by governments worldwide under the guise of tracking carriers of virus. And we do live in a very authoritarian top-down structure style of government, whether we realize it or not. And at the moment I'm finishing this book, there is a massive pushback worldwide as protests are being held across the globe in remembrance of George Floyd, in the remembrance of George Floyd, who has been seen murdered by police officer on mass mind control sets across the world. The TV. It's crazy, y'all. Woo! And apparently there was multiple George Floyd's incidents around the world. We got our own George Floyd. I think there was, I seen some other videos, it happening in Italy and other things, officers doing the ritual. In George Floyd's memory, the name Martin Luther King Jr. is being invoked, who of course assassinated in 1968 at the age of 39. Not unlike how George or Gemini both sum to 39 in the Pythagorean gematria. George was killed in one of the twin cities, Minneapolis, in the time of Gemini, the twins, on the 93rd meridian west. The 93 matters because Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Martin Luther King Jr. sum to 93 Pythagorean, similar to how Malcolm X sums to 93 with simple English, and the two civil rights leaders only met once in history, March 26, 1964, a date with 93 numerology. Like King, Malcolm X, who was also killed at age 39, on the date with 44 numerology. February 21st, 1965, by an assassin, Thomas Hagen, there you go, whose name sums to 44 with Pythagorean, and who also received 44 years in prison to match MLK's 4/4 expiration. Connecting with James Earl Ray, the accused killer of MLK, who died April 23rd, 1998, 44 days after his 70th birthday on March 10th. For the record, Malcolm X assassin was a member of the Nation of Islam, summoning to 58 Pythagorean, same as Dubon Ballroom, where Malcolm X was shot dead, and to connect it back to George Floyd, He was killed by a 44-year-old officer, a title summoning to 44 Pythagorean, same as overseer, on the 44th parallel north in Minneapolis by a man named Derek Chauvin, summoning to 58 with the Pythagorean as well. Not by chance, the name Chauvin alone sums to 33 in the Pythagorean, the same as police and the same as race war. At the same time, federal also sums to 33 with Pythagorean, and this is why Donald Trump first deployed federal police to Oregon, the 33rd state, who were reportedly to be who reported to be snatching George Floyd's protest, who were reportedly to be snatching George Floyd protesters off the streets with military tactics and unmarked vans. Keep in mind the headlines about federal police in Oregon first emerged on July 18th or 18/7, like 187, corresponding with the geometry of the nation's federal government headquarters, Washington, D.C., equating to 187 with simple English, the same as Society of Jesus at the time. Portland equates to 44 with reverse Pythagorean, the same as Chicago, and this is why Trump announced he was dispersing federal police to Chicago after having success in Portland. You could say he was executing the federal police state by the numbers, a term equating to 44 with Pythagorean gematria. And in case you're not familiar with what a police state is, I'll use Google's definition, only because they're one of the key companies in helping execute it, as we'll get to. Their definition as it follows: police state, a totalitarian state controlled by a political police force that secretly supervises the civilians' activities. I suppose the only difference between that and 2020 is that it's no longer a secret. And as we move ahead through the chapter and this book, you'll understand more and more this is exactly what is being built, a police state in the United States of America and across the world, something that has been in works for several decades. Furthermore, it is being implemented based upon a series of lies that in recent history include 9/11 and the coronavirus outbreak of 2020. And speaking of, Malcolm X as well, young Pharaoh had a lecture on him. Malcolm X found out about his own people because he was in the Nation of Islam, and Malcolm X was killed by his own people, the Nation of Islam. And, they all planned that date, and it's unfortunate. This is what they do to leaders that have massive followings and that are educating themselves and understanding and becoming aware and getting the knowledge that is here and understanding that, remember, the agents are always alive, but the ones that are quote unquote dead are the ones that were a threat to the agents. So they had to get rid of them. So everyone that you feel that is still alive is an agent, probably is an agent. They only keep certain people here to continue their agendas and to deceive the people, right? Speaking of the number 44, later in the chapter, I'll teach you about the greater significance of the World Trade Centers falling to the ground 44 days after Tisha B. Alf, also known as the 9th of Alf, summoning to 44 with reverse Pythagorean. It is the Jewish day. It is the Jewish day to remember the destruction of the two temples, similar to the two towers or twin towers that were bombed in 93. and had their bombing plan on the Blind Sheik, a nickname summoning to 93 with simple English gematria. And on the subject of 93, it is the number we must understand the meaning of. It represents time in two ways. One, we are told through science that the sun is 93 million miles away and that the sun is the timekeeper of our Gregorian calendar. This becomes all the more interesting when you realize God's Son, Nazareth, and crucifixion also, each sum to 93 with simple English. Never mind, never mind that we measure time with the thought of BC or before Christ and after. And never mind that when 2012, science claimed that they had traced the date of Jesus' crucifixion on April 3rd. What is the 93rd day? What is the 93rd day of the Gregorian calendar? The Gregorian year. Tying in the crucifixion lasting from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Bible, the second time associated with the number 93, the second time associated with the number 93 is the planet Saturn, having simple English gematria of 93. Saturn is the most distant planet from the sun to be. The fuck? See how that shit? Motherfuckers just want to be making noises outside. Speaking, because we call it like it's the matrix, right? And it's of course they use the alignments, and you call it the magic square. It's the Saturn magic square. They have us under a Saturn magic square or magic square. But it's they use the alignments. They use the alignments to harness energies of the people and to get a reaction, and to mainly to put us in fear, so we can be more easily controlled. Because they can't do shit if we love each other. But if we're in fear and hatred and separation, oh fuck, we're fucked. So we are back on Saturn. Saturn is the most distant planet from the sun. To the naked eye, known as the keeper of time, to the occult. It is for these reasons Flight 93 was part of the September 11th ritual, and the second plane to hit the Twin Towers was reportedly to have crashed into the structure at 9:03 a.m. For another related word, the words atomic bomb summed to 93 using simple English. And the research for this creation was called the Manhattan Project. Of course, the World Trade Centers were in Manhattan, and when they collapsed, the site was called Ground Zero, a name that was used to describe the point above or below ground where an atomic or nuclear bomb had detonated prior to September 11th, 2011. Okay. With that in mind, ask yourself, what energy was used to turn those buildings to dust as they fell to the ground, falling into nice little neat piles covering New York in a fine layer of towers remains? Could it have been a weapon developed by the Manhattan Project? Could it have been an atomic bomb? And why did the U.S. military detonate over 1,000 atomic and nuclear bombs, many of them below ground, for the better part of a century anyway? Not by chance. Underground testing concluded September 23rd, 1992, shortly before the 93 World Trade Center bombings on February 26. That presented the authorities with an opportune time to work under the buildings that were attacked below. Could this have been when the charges were set? No matter the answer, in the decades since the collapse of the World Trade Center, There have been many health-related deaths for the people of New York and many questions unanswered. In my opinion, it is fair to ask if fallout from the possible blast is the culprit. And for the last point about 93, at least for now, the last surviving pilot to drop the atomic bomb on Japan, a nation summoning to 93 with reverse simple English, died at age 93. He was Theodore Van Kirk. Adding to the 110 list and coming back to George Floyd, his death occurred in Minnesota, a state summoning to 110 with simple English. And once again, it is reported that the police officer knelt on his neck for 8 minutes and 43 seconds, similar to how Muhammad Atat reportedly crashed into the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. local. For another, Dave Chappelle, the comedian with a name equating to 110 in simple English, made a bit in tribute to George Floyd titled 846. To take it further, the name George Floyd sums to 119 with simple English gematria, not unlike the way the majority of the world writes the date September 11th or 9/11. And adding further to the riddle, the last time there was a big or a social push with marches and protesting prior to those in remembrance of George Floyd. Oh shit, hold on, let's see. And adding further to the riddle, the last time there was all right. And adding further to the riddle, the last time there was as big of a social push with marches and protesting prior to those in remembrance of George Floyd were the marches inspired by Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Florida, a school named after a woman from Minneapolis, majority Stoneman Douglas, where the school shooting happened Valentine's Day. February 14th, 2018, a span of 119 weeks from the George Floyd killing. Video released May 26, 2020. The 119 pattern, the 119 pattern or 119 pattern also reminds of the Kennedy. Shit. Hold on. We're gonna start that again. I need to get some tea. Un momento. Tea break. I'm lighting the the heart chakra. Come on, man. Okay. All right. So right now we're talking about the 119 gematria code that was used in another ritual that included George Floyd. And so we're going to tie the George Floyd, the 119, and he's talking about those riots were inspired by the Stoneman Douglas High School shootings in Florida, a school named after a woman from Minneapolis, majority Stoneman Douglas, where the school shooting happened Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2018. A span of 119 weeks from George Floyd's killing, video being released May 16, 2020. The 119 pattern also reminds of the Kennedy King riots. Rodney King. I don't know why I said Kennedy King. Rodney King riots that the George Floyd riots have been compared to. Those began April 29th, 1992, after police officers involved in his assault were acquitted on TV. Of course, April 29th is the 119th day of the Gregorian calendar, and the fraternal order of the police sums to 119 with Pythagorean gematria. If you're not familiar with the FOP's logo, it is the all-seeing eye of it, summoning to 119 with. It is an all-seeing eye, and it summoning to 119 with simple English. And for a couple more 119s, Osama bin Laden was reportedly dead May 2nd, 2011, a span of 119 weeks after Barack Obama became president. Obama, January 20, 2009. Better yet, Osama bin Laden's father reportedly died in a plane crash, September 3rd, 1967, the day leaving 119 days in the year and a date that can be expressed as 9/3. For your record, 1968 was the year of the Six-Day War won by Israel, the summoning to 119 with reverse simple English. Pairing to how the symbol of the Israel flag, the Star of David, sums to 119 in simple English, just like Orthodox from another just like Orthodox. Just like Orthodox. Just like Orthodox, right. For another, New Jersey sums to 119 with reverse simple English, where the dancing Israelis were arrested on 9/11 at the Doric apartment complex, summoning to 322, the number of skull and bones with reverse simple as well. If you haven't heard President Eisenhower's farewell address, where he warns the U.S. people of the coming military-industrial complex, three, summoning to 322 in simple English, you should seek out that speech. Okay. He was warning us that something like 9/11 was coming if we didn't stop the growing thirst for conflict that our nation's military strategy was based on. But who could have been behind all of this? Look no further than the Vatican summoning to 119 with reverse simple English. The heart of the same church that has been waging wars, especially with Islamic regions of the world for centuries. And for those who doubt this now, make sure you finish the book because you won't doubt it later. To connect the dots even further between culture shaping events, we've already drawn parallels between. Let's explain the number 33 in the case of Rodney King, who was beaten on March 3rd or 3/3 by the LAPD, summoning to 33 with simple English. This is similar how the police summed to 33 with Pythagorean, and how Trayvon Martin was buried on March 3rd, and how the riotings began after Floyd's killing on the East 33rd Street in Minneapolis, and how the killing officer that the killing officer Chauvin has the surname summoning to 33 with Pythagorean, and that the Cops TV show has and that the Cops TV show was dropped by Paramount after its 33rd season because of George Floyd's protest, while Detroit was erecting a salute of a was erecting a statue of RoboCop in 2020, 33 years after the 1987 film, during a time of a national discussion about defunding human police. The number 33 is a hallmark of the cabal, and it has everything to do with the World Trade Centers lasted for 33 years. The number 33 is a hallmark of the cabal, and it has everything to do with why the World Trade Centers lasted for 33 years, 1968 to 2001, and why Jesus was crucified at a youthful age of 33, as we're beginning to understand these tragic and impactful events of modern and biblical times are being contrived in accordance with Scripture to fulfill biblical prophecy. Not by chance, the word Bible sums to 33 with reverse Pythagorean, as does Sunday, the only day of the week that has connection to the number, and the day that was made the one to worship on by force by the Catholic Church, reminding that the Jesuit logo is the sun, connecting to the name of the day, Sunday. And for the record, Sunday and Jesuit are the exact same in the 3 out of the 4 base ciphers, summoning to 21, 78, 84. And in light of the Scripture and number games, think about how Genesis 11:9 is where the story of God destroying the Tower of Babylon ends, in light of the demise of the Twin Towers on 11/9. And as the word prophecy, it sums to 110 with reverse simple English gematria, bringing clarity to why it was used in the way it was, from 9/11 with the 110 story towers to George Floyd's killing in Minnesota. To connect a gematria-based relationship with 33 and 119, consider that Pinal sums to 33 with reverse Pythagorean gematria. As in the pineal gland or the mind's eye and the Masonic phrase all-seeing eye, that relates to the pineal gland, sums to 119 with simple English. Through the TV or preferred through the TV or better referred to as television, the cabal has a window into the mind's eye of the masses. And through the TV, as well as other popular media, they are actively programming the populace with regularly scheduled programming, as they so often call it. This programming, this programming's purpose it to steer the behavior of people in the direction of their ongoing agendas that boil down to giving the cabal greater and greater control over humanity, while disarming the people of their God-given liberties under the guise of safety and protection. Their objectives are arrived at through the repetitive strategy of order out of chaos, while broadcasting fear before delivering a predetermined solution. The other important point is that they achieve these objectives with greater and greater spiritual wickedness as time passes on. Real shit. And we could call it the television is also their global. We call it the shout out to Uriel calls it the global magic wands. And television is heavily used, but also now we know that we are being emitted frequencies that we can't hear with the naked eye every single day, from forces that we can't see, but we know there are forces on the planet that work with us and that work against us to keep us enslaved and to liberate us. To take it further, there is an occult belief about spiritual ascension up to 33 bones of the human vertebrae that leads to enlightenment. Blah blah blah. To take it further, there is an occult belief about spiritual ascension up the 33 bones of the human vertebrae that leads to enlightening the mind's eye or the pineal gland of a person. It is in this belief where the occult significance of 33 resides, and likely reason for both people and persons equating to 33 with Pythagorean gematria. The name of the belief is Kundalini, summoning to 58 with reverse Pythagorean, complementing the 58 values of Freemasonry and secret society as we covered prior. For another 58, the four letters name of God, tetragrammaton, subs to 58 with Pythagorean, and Kundalini is about connecting with God. It is because of Kundalini that Freemasonry is fixated on the number 33. And despite Freemasonry being about self-improvement, including spiritual, and that being the true purpose of knowledge they study, including the Bible, Kabbalah, Kundalini, Hereticism, and alchemy, the cabal has taken the knowledge and turned it on its head, pushing darkness to prevent the people on this earth from reaching enlightenment. They do this because people in the dark without light are much more easily contained, controlled, and exploited. And by the way, they sums to 58 with simple English. Now you'll know what to say next time someone asks the common question, who are they? Call them the cabal, shadow government, weak ass niggas. But when you think about it, since we're learning the knowledge and relearning the knowledge, if you're new to this, and when I started learning this knowledge, and when I had my spiritual awakening, it's crazy. It had been in my face the whole time, but I was aware of it. I was asleep to it, right? And now that I'm aware, because you weren't, I wasn't aware, and now that I'm aware, we see it play out because it is here, it is in existence, and like many of the masses, they are unaware. They are still asleep. They're still asleep, and until they are able to wake up, they will continue to be oblivious and be exploited and be used and controlled. And we need a lot more of us. We want everyone to awaken. And it sucks because the Kabbalah is awakened, but they use it for evil purposes. So just like we have people that are awakened, they use their awakeness for evil purposes as well. So it goes hand in hand. And however you use your powers, to each his own. To each his own. Now, what is being done to humanity at this moment in history is the knowledge of our ancestors is being inverted. And instead of helping people spiritually ascend, the cabal is using their mass media, helping people. What is being done to humanity at this moment in history is the knowledge of our ancestors is being inverted. And instead of helping people spiritually ascend, the cabal is using their mass media, mind control weapons to pump nonstop fear, division, and chaos encoded with occult wisdom to keep us in a low vibrational state so that we are less likely to think and more likely to follow out of fear with a cowherd mentality. Thus, those of us who have been trying to figure out where you are right there. There it is, last sentence. Okay. Thus those of us who have the light and who aren't afraid of those who will help free our brothers and sisters from the darkness. And that is why it is important we never quit in our quest. And we know ourselves worth, no matter how difficult the path of truth becomes. That includes not only helping our friends and families, but also strangers who will listen. In doing so, we can help them escape the matrix of misinformation that steals their time, does damage to your energy levels, and programs them with the wrong thoughts and behaviors. Helping them escape the matrix includes avoiding false history, politics, bogus religious teachings, news, mass mind control, entertainment, and even pro sports, which I enjoy, that are rigged to the core and synced with agendas. Case in point, 1968 was the year the New York Jets went on and had their only Super Bowl winning season, starring Broadway Joe. Who guaranteed it? New York Jets, 9/11. Never mind that Joe Namath sums to 33 with Pythagorean, similar to New York, equating to 33 with reverse Pythagorean. And his team's feet began and his team's feat would begin in a 33-year countdown to the demise of the buildings that were engineered and advertised to withstand impact from a commercial jetliner because of how tall they were, towering over the rest of Gotham City. Shout out to the Gotham FC. As it is known in Batman, where in 33 episodes, and in where the 33rd episode of the old hit TV show titled Fine Finney Fence, Skull and Bones is referred as being part of the Bruce Wayne family legacy. And for your gematria learning, the alum of Skull and Bones are referred to as bonesmen, summoning to 33 with Pythagorean gematria. All right. 1968 was also the year of the Boeing in Seattle, Washington. Debuted their jumbo jetliner. The city of Seattle is noteworthy because the construction firm that built the World Trade Centers, Magnuson Killimink Associations, is headquartered in Seattle, Washington, as well as the name Seattle, Washington sums to 68 with Pythagorean gematria. For another dot you might otherwise not connect, the Seattle Seahawks won their only Super Bowl 48 that was hosted by New York and New Jersey at the Jet Stadium. When the MVP of the game took the podium to speak after its conclusion, a man grabbed his mic and said 9/11 was an inside job. Keep in mind the common terminology for the inside job is false flag. Summoning to 48, same as Seahawks, both using Pythagorean both both using reverse Pythagorean. Furthermore, the MVP of Super Bowl 48 was Malcolm Smith, summoning to 48 with Pythagorean gematria. Think about it. What are the odds to get even more astronomical? Shit. The Seattle Seahawks, summoning to 43 with Pythagorean, won the game by 43 points. It's a fitting score because football sums to 43 with reverse Pythagorean, and the sport was credited to Walter Camp, a Skull and Bones member who attended Yale, summoning to 43 as covered. And also, because I wasn't too sure, because I've been hearing a lot of people say false flag, and now that I know, I didn't know that was I didn't know that inside job. Another word for inside job is false flag. So when people say it's a false flag, it was an inside job. So I didn't know that. That just was new to me. So I'm fuck yeah. Because I hear a lot of people say it's a false flag. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what the fuck? I don't understand false flag. So it's inside job. So shit, I'm learning. I'm still learning. This should clear up things next time you see Batman film The Dark Knight Rises, where the football stadium explodes only after Section 322 is shown. For another kick, the only player on the field who survived the fictional blast of the film is number 86, reminding of August 6th, the date of Hiroshima, a date that can be expressed 8/6 or 6/8. Adding to the number riddle, Hines Ward, the retired NFL receiver who played the part of 86 in the film, finished his NFL career with 86 touchdowns, 85 receiving, and 1 rushing. And of course wore 86 for his NFL team, the Steelers. He played at Heinz Field. When you have eyes to see, you realize pro sports are nothing but number games and absolutely weaved in the part of the matrix of riddles the cabal has wrapped around the populace. This knowledge will also bring new beginnings. Oh shit. This knowledge will also bring new meanings to that often repeated line by sports commentators. You couldn't have scripted any better. Goddamn. Where we at? You couldn't have scripted any better. Okay. You couldn't have scripted any better. It truly is a slap in the face, especially when you see what's going on. And that's why I don't listen to the commentators. But it also is very interesting when we do listen to them. When I do listen to the commentators, you get to listen to see what what they're pushing, right? Especially in my sport that I like to enjoy, football. Okay, if you're not familiar with what a false flag is, it is when someone uses pirate tactics, flying a flag that is not their own, but of an enemy, and doing something terrible. So the terrible act will be blamed on the enemies whose flag was used. But this has been done when the US bombed Pearl Harbor with its own military. But the planes that had the flag of Japan painted on their sides, giving the cabal leverage to get the people of the USA, the United States, behind the idea of joining World War II against Japan and Germany. That historical false flag is not much different than how 9/11, the new Pearl Harbor, as it has been called, the U.S. and its allies, Israel and Saudi Arabia, attacked the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the minds of the people of the world so that their atrocities could be blamed on a region of the world that was ripe for invading. Of course, this region is ripe with resources, including soil, the opium that is now flooding the streets of the U.S. in the form of heroin, and the mountains of Afghanistan that are full of resources needed to make the computers and phones we use today. On subject of false flag, it should be noted that it sums to 33 with Pythagorean gematria, the same as Hawaii. Again, the World Trade Centers were attacked after existing for 33 years, and the attack on them was a catalyst for war, the same as the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Furthermore, both Pearl Harbor and Order Out of Chaos equate in gematria terms, and Pearl Harbor also equates with World War. Even further, both World and Pearl Harbor equate with Art of War, the Jesuit translated text on military tactics. And as I continuously remind you in the pages ahead, the U.S. Civil War began April 12th, 1861, on the 102nd day of the year. The 9/11 attacks were said to have lasted 102 minutes, and both World War and Art of War equate to 102. To further illustrate how entertainment ties in the world of recorded history, there is a Hollywood film titled Glass that was released in the beginning of 2019. It is about a terrorist who wants to demolish brand new skyscrapers. Resentment of the world Trade Centers. In the film, they have been in the film, they have they are having their grand opening on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, the day of the fictional buildings. The name of the fictional buildings are the Osaka's Towers, referring to the Japanese city of Osaka. These details in the fictional movie are how the cabal gets their laughs, taking advantage of the public. And taking advantage of the public that is still largely a sound sleep and not able to connect the obvious dots of history. My bad. I didn't turn the page. My bad. these details, so they say they put the truth in the movies. They put the truth in the movies. And also, sometimes when certain TV shows that I watch, I like to watch some of the lawyer shows that they present to us or the cop shows because it just reminds us how what cops and lawyers do to hide the truth and to get to the truth, and how the judges, of course, all the systems are sometimes there are good judges. There's, like I said, there's people that are awake and there are people who are asleep. And there's people that are awake in the system that want to help, but they have people in front of them that are awake and that have to continue to make sure these types of things don't last. So you have to be a powerful spirit to be in these positions, and especially because they only elect certain people to get in these positions anyways. You have to be in a quote unquote right. You have to be in the right place, right time, shake a certain amount of hands. But when I watch these the lawyer shows, the cop TV shows, what they do to, of course, plant things, because we're not like the ones that think for themselves. We are targeted because we think for ourselves, but the lengths that they'll go to hide the truth and what they'll kill you. They have no problem. And that's what most of the TV shows that I watch. If they can't silence you, they can't pay you off. They're going to have to kill you and your whole family, period. That's the best thing. That's the really best thing that's really all they can do. But we're immortal anyway, so you can't kill me, but whatever. I can just die from this body. So that's why death, it should never be feared. and when we know that knowledge and we continue to, walk our path, whatever path we may choose, we'll be divinely protected to do the mission that we chose to do, and to bring the information. Whatever you choose to do, you'll be protected, and we're gonna be all right. But death is nothing to fear. Shit, where was I? Right. We were talking about Pearl Harbor, the city of Japan, Osaka. And it also reminds me of the tennis player, right? Remember all let me see where I'm at. Oh yeah, we're getting to the sports. That's what we're getting into. We're getting more into sports. Oh yeah. I guess there it is. To furthermore, we're on to furthermore. To furthermore, where's this at on the page? Oh yeah. To further illustrate. Where is that at? I'm trying to find that on the page. Okay, we only an hour and 20 minutes in. Dope. Okay, so we finished with the Art of War 102. Where is this at? Did I come back to the page? No, hold on. I'm trying to figure out where we are on this paper. Because we just talked about the 102. I'm looking for the 102 article. Oh, I just read that. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So we were just talking about Hollywood tying into the Pearl Harbor, the Osaka Towers, right? So the Osaka Towers glass. The title, the TV show, the movie Glass, representing, they're mocking us about the Twin Towers, right? The show, the movie Glass, right? And then the Pearl Harbor. Glass. Okay, glass. Okay, so we'll just hop onto the glass again. So the name of the fictional buildings were the Osaka Towers, referring to the Japanese city of Osaka. These details in the fictional movie are how the cabal gets their laugh, taking advantage of the public that is still largely sound asleep and not able to connect the obvious dots of history. What isn't as obvious about the riddle is that the title Glass, summoning to 58 using simple English and 77 with reverse simple English. The number 77 was extremely important in the September 11th, 2001 ritual. Will Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th Meridian West exactly 77 minutes after taking off? Exactly 77 minutes after taking off, where according to the 9/11 Commission report, the plane took off at 8:20 a.m. and crashed at 9:37 a.m., adding to the number 77 list. September 11th and World Trade Center both sum to 77 using Pythagorean gematria, as does the phrase order from chaos, a tactic of the Jesuits as well as Masons that is also sometimes worded order out of chaos at the same time. United States and secret society sum to 77 using reverse Pythagorean in light of the name of the country summoning to 77. Keep in mind the 77th Meridian West that cuts through the nation's capital is nicknamed the American Meridian. Furthermore, construction of the Pentagon began September 11th, 1941, with emphasis on the year 41, since the USA sums to 41 in simple English, and the 9/11 attacks occurred on the 41 numerology date, reminding us that Pearl Harbor was attacked December 7th, 1941, tying the events together even more closely. The Hollywood film Pearl Harbor released May 25th, 2001, a span of 112 days from the 110-story World Trade Center's demise on September 11th. This is similar to how the George Floyd murder pretrial begins September 11th, a span of 110 days from his May 25th, 2020 killing in Minnesota, equating to 110. Okay. For a bit more of entertainment and pro sports being used as part of the cabal's web of deceit, mockery, and misinformation, think about the New York Jets' Mo Lewis wrecking the quarterback Drew Bledsoe of the New York Patriots, who wore number 11, right after the September 11th, 2011 attacks. This occurred September 23rd, 2011, 12 days after the attack, giving rise to Tom Brady, who still wears number 12 all these years, the New England Patriots, and the time of the Patriots Act. Do I dare mention Tom Brady was born in 77? Did I mention? Do I dare mention? Tom Brady was born in 77. To appreciate the script, you must recognize that Patriot Act became effective October 26, 2001, 45 days after the attack. This matters because Patriots summed to 45 with reverse Pythagorean, and New England subs to 45 in the same cipher, and also with regular Pythagorean gematria. Furthermore, the day Tom Brady took over the team, September 23rd, was the day leaving 99 days left of the year, and both New England and Patriot equate to 99 with simple English. Also, the date Patriot Act was enacted, October 26, leaves 66 days in the year, leaves 66 days left in the year, and the Patriot Act sums to 66 with reverse Pythagorean. Let us not forget, 66 is the 11th triangular number, and football is a game of 11 on 11, and September 11th, 2001 was perhaps the greatest 11 ritual of all time. And on subject of 66, ahead I will teach you about Jewish gematria, where the acronym NFL sums to 66, and 1966 was the start of the NFL's first Super Bowl season. All right. Just like football is 11v11, American football and football with the feet is 11v11. So, and Zach had, because, there's a lot more. There's been rituals going on every single day. Every single day is a ritual for them. But Zach had talked about Messi yesterday. But he always talking about Brady too, that these athletes' lives are scripted, right? Like LeBron James, stuff like that. Because we don't even know if LeBron's actually a person. But anyways, the fact that these athletes are, celebrity, not like celebrity athletes. They're like, they're athlete entertainers. Like, who says they're the best ones in the world? How did they, how did they get into that door? And so Tom Brady's whole life was scripted out, just like we might say Messi's. But they're really good. They play really good sport. But is it scripted out for them? You feel me? It probably is. It probably is, because you don't make certain amount of money and not know what's going on, and you either and you're okay with it. I feel like there's no way you're oblivious to it once you shake them out of certain hands, and I feel like there's no way you don't know. But then it's like, damn, do they not know? And that's why you just have to peep game and take it for what it is. Learn the knowledge, know the knowledge, and see what they do with their actions. You just base them upon their actions. And if they ain't doing nothing to help, or even drop some hints, can you at least drop some hints, some ciphers? Because, can you at least let the masses know that you kind of know what's going on? But we don't want you and your whole family to be murdered. But, at a point, it comes a point, right? There comes a point. They will take everything away from you that you have gained. So it comes a point where, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But there doesn't come a point. And they gonna live with it. Shit, they gonna live with it. It is what it is. And so, you just kind of take it as it is and enjoy it for what it is, right? Fuck, this realm is crazy. Now, so we're getting into Tom Brady. Right. The 66 ritual, right? So we're talking about in terms, all right. In terms how the news and sports are scripted together, it is for this reason that Tom Brady left the New England Patriots in 2020 at the time of the coronavirus, while the nation and its Patriots were falling. The ritual is undeniable when you know gematria. For example, he made it clear he was going to Tampa Bay Buccaneers on March 16th, a date written 3/16 like 316. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers equate to 316 with reverse simple gematria. Furthermore, it was the next day, March 17th, that he officially signed with the new team. That was the date that can be written. That was on a date that can be written 13/3 or 173. And this date matters because Knights Templar sums to 173 with simple English. Again, there were the order they were the order of the knights that served the Catholic Church and its Pope until they were banned by the Church. Friday, October 13, 1307. About at that point, many of them fled and went into hiding, becoming pirates or buccaneers. Furthermore, Tom Brady moving to play football in Florida at age 43 is no accident. Because both words equate to 43. Shit, there it is. Furthermore, Tom Brady moving on to play football. Furthermore, Tom Brady moving to play football in Florida at the age of 43 is no accident because both words equate to 43. Keep in mind the pirate symbolism is his new team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers also remind us of the pirate symbolism in the Oakland Raiders, the team that was screwed by the truck rule. January 19, 2002, emphasized on 1/19 to launch the New England Patriots. Very, very scripted dynasty that lasted nearly 2 full decades. And if you look carefully, you'll notice the skull and bones. You'll notice skull and crossed swords symbolism of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers logo is eerily similar to the skull and bone symbolism of the powerful Yale fraternity and has Bush to the shit. And if you look carefully, you'll notice the skull and crossed swords symbolism of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers logo is eerily similar to the skull and bone symbolism of the powerful Yale fraternity and had Bush in office thanks to Florida. When 9/11 happened, as well as the emergence of Tom Brady, the New England Patriots, and the Patriots Act. With these topics in mind, I encourage you to look into Marshall time law, the law of the sea, and how it is what USA. I'd encourage you to look into maritime law, the law of the sea, and how it is what U.S. law is based in. These things are not by accident. Instead, they are evidence of who created this land we call the United States of America. And as we are learning, there are entities connected to the Catholic Church. Since we brought up Tom Brady's departure from the almost done. get on Tom Brady's ass. His whole career is scripted for him. God damn. That must suck for every other player that's like, damn, will I ever win a Super Bowl? No, nigga, you won't. You were not elected. You were not elected. All right. Since we brought up Tom Brady's departure from the New England Patriots, we must, but honest, shout out, because I'm a New York Giants fan, and I guess the Giants are the Patriots' kryptonite. Because when I was a New York Giants fan in school, the Giants were able to beat the Patriots, and those are their only two, I think, Super Bowl wins that I'm aware of right now. Shout out to the Giants. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was scripted to happen like that. But anyways, since we brought up Tom Brady's departure for the New England Patriots, we must also bring up Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers, being signed by the Patriots to replace him June 28, 2020, during the time of the George Floyd protests. In the wake of his signing, CNN ran a front-page story, "The New All-American Patriots," with the image of Colin Kaepernick, the NFL QB who grew his hair out like a Black Panther and said he was paying tribute to the 1968 Olympic protesters, as well as Beyonce, who dressed up in a Black Panther for the Super Bowl 50 halftime show, where Cam Newton lost, as well as Lin-Manuel Miranda, the rising star of the Broadway hit Hamilton, a play where Black men replaced men who were white. Historically speaking, sort of like Newton replacing Brady. Of course, Cam Newton is another quick quarterback star in the NFL who for all his career has played with Black Panther on his helmet. As a Black man playing for the Carolina Panthers, a team that Patriots defeated in Super Bowl 38, and where Panthers equates to 38, and with Pythagorean, shit. Let's do that again. Since we brought up Tom Brady's departure with the New England Patriots, we must also bring up Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers, being signed by the Patriots to replace him January 38, 2020. During the time of the George Floyd protest, in the wake of his signing, CNN ran a front-page story, the New American Patriots. And I think, of course, because it's the Netflix has a TV show called The All-American as well. Anyways, the New All-American Patriots with the image of Colin Kaepernick, the NFL QB who grew his hair out like a Black Panther and said he was paying tribute to 1968 Olympic protesters, as well as Beyonce, who dressed up as a Black Panther for Super Bowl 50 halftime show, where Cam Newton lost, as well as Lin-Manuel Miranda, the rising star of the Broadway hit Hamilton, to play where Black men, in the hit Hamilton, a play where Black men replaced men who were white. Historically speaking, sort of like Newton replacing Brady. Of course, Cam Newton is another star quarterback in the NFL who for all of his career has played with a Black Panther on his helmet. As a Black man playing with the Carolina Panthers, a team the Patriots defeated in Super Bowl 38, and where Panthers equates to 38 with Pythagorean. In light of this information, you must keep in mind the Black Panther Party was founded by Huey P. Newton, having the same surname as Cam Newton. The riddles don't end there, however. The name Huey P. Newton equates to 131 with reverse simple gematria. And Cam Newton was born May 11th, 1989, the 131st day of the year. And in the same year, Huey P. Newton died on August 22nd. That date happened to be 83 days after Cam Newton was born, a number corresponding with the gematria of football and murder, both equating to 83. Again, 1983 was the year the song Murder by Numbers released. Beyond that, Newton's NFL career came to an unexpected pause in the previous season when he had been benched by his head coach for a rookie. A storyline that has led to him signing with the New England Patriots with 131 career games played under his belt. You should know 131 is the 32nd prime, and both America and NFL equate to 32. The latter being the league with 32 teams. Fucking A. Furthermore, the parallels between Huey and Cam in the Super Bowl 50, the game Cam Newton and the Panthers lost to the Denver Broncos, Newton became the 58th president to start in the Super Bowl, corresponding with the gematria of Huey P. Newton, the Pythagorean gematria, as well as Oakland in simple English, both equating to 58, and the latter being where the Black Panther Party was established by Huey P. Newton in 1966, the first NFL Super Bowl season. I bring this up because Super Bowl 50 was played in Bay Area, not far from Oakland. And you should also know I called why that would be Super Bowl matchup and why Broncos would be the MVP of the game in October, 4 months before it all happened. Because the USA Today big lead to write a feature article about me. Okay, huh? Black Panther Party. All right. He says, I bring this up because Super Bowl 50 was played in the Bay Area, not far from Oakland. And you should also know I called why that would be Super Bowl matchup, why it would be the Super Bowl matchup, and why the Broncos would win, and why number 58, Von Miller of the Broncos, would be the MVP of the game in October, 4 months before it all happened, caused the USA Today big lead to write a feature article about me while downplaying the relevance of what I was teaching, gematria, and how the NFL and the world of professional sports were rigged by the code. And in accordance with news and history, something you can prove every single day with this knowledge. If you would like to read the article, it's titled Conspiracy Theorists Prove Freemasons Rigged AFC and NFC Championship Games by Ryan Phillips, January 26, 2016. You'll notice he pays tribute to the number 47 in the last paragraph, and not by accident. And for another read, you can examine the article Wacko YouTuber proves World Series was rigged by Sean Newell, of Vice News, also targeting me. If you do read the Vice article, notice how he makes fun of my research on the number 52. Then, after reading the article, take the time to decode his name, Sean Newell. As you'll find out, his name equals 52, making him the perfect person to write what he did. and added up and I'd add and I had what do you say? And I'd add had an article been written about me every time I called a sports championship season and months in advance based off this knowledge, there would be so many more articles in relevance. And I'll also add to further the point about Cam Newton and the Black Panther Party, his June 28, 2020 signing by the Patriots came a span of 97 days after he was released by the Panthers on March 24th, 2020. And it was a span of 74 days after Bill Belichick's birthday, April 16th, 2020. In addition to that, June 28th signing, and in addition to that June 28, 2020, the date of the signing had 74 date numerology and Black Panther Party sums to 74 with Pythagorean, as well as 97 with reverse Pythagorean. Keep in mind, Bill Belichick also sums to 94 with simple English, and he won the Super Bowl in the 97th season. In the 97th NFL season. You might recall that game had a 25-point comeback over the Falcons, equating to 25 with Pythagorean gematria on the date February 5th or 2/5 to conclude the 97th NFL season, where 97 is the 25 prime number, and it is the same season they moved the touchback to 25 yards from 20. Of course, the date of the Super Bowl could be expressed 5/2, like 52, and Belichick and Brady became 5 and 2 in the Super Bowls together by the numbers. So that's fucking crazy. Damn! Hey, he breaking them backs. Wow, this is crazy. It's not crazy. It's the rigged fugazi. It's the rigged fuckery. It's the rigged fuckery we have to deal with in sports as being a sports lover. Shit, I be wanting to support. Well, I still support certain teams. Well, City, they got a lot of cash, so I might be supporting the right teams. You got to support the teams with the cash, right? Anyways, we almost 2 hours in. Okay. We're almost done, y'all. We almost done. All right. Excuse me. All right. Coming back to 1968, one of the most important events of the year was the release of the film 2001, A Space Odyssey. It is about a technology, more specifically AI or artificial intelligence, overtaking humanity. This phenomenon has a name, and it's called the singularity. It is when technology reaches a point that changes humanity forever, and there's no going back. In the sense that technology advances past the capability of human mind and begins to control humanity. Consider this a concept that is much easier to grasp in 2020 than it was in 1968 when the film was made. And speaking of the year 2020, the year of the coronavirus, you will notice in gematria terms, the words singularity and coronavirus are the exact same in all four ciphers, both summoning to 155 in simple English, 56 in Pythagorean, 142 in reverse simple English, and 70 in reverse Pythagorean. And rest assured, by the end of this book, you will have notes full of how all four of these numbers have been used ritualistically. Yeah, because of 56, that's one of the codes I did when I did the Sarah Gordon one. That was like my first one. That was my intro That was my first one. And I was like, there's something a little shady about that. You know what I'm saying? So the 56 is Black Lives Matter, coronavirus, Anthony. We know, you know what I'm saying? We're learning. You know what I'm saying? We're learning. This is what they do. If you haven't learned, we only, you know what I'm saying? This is what they do. It's fucking crazy. Especially, I know that, and it's crazy because I see 56 now. Like sometimes when I walk out, I'm like, damn, like that's just a coding number. Like these, and there's, it's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. Anyways. Let's go back to, he said synchronous. He said the artificial intelligence and singularity. What do you call it? Singularity. Right? That's what they're gonna call it. Singularity is when it's kind of like, also because I play the games Watch Dogs. If you play Watch Dogs, you can hack the CTSO system, but it's a grid. And you go to different locations to hack it. But it's a smart grid. And 5G is the fastest technology. It's the fastest technology that can be able to do that around the world. So that's why they're installing 5G everywhere, because that's going to be the technology be used to surveillance us everywhere we go. So and that's why, that's why if our shit fucks up, there's no reason why our stuff to have interference unless it's being tampered with from other forces. So there's no excuses for them to tell us, because we know we're not stupid, we're not asleep, we're not sheeple, we're awake now. Thank myself, thank the universe, thank whoever you believe in, thank yourself for waking yourself up, because it's time. This is the greatest time to be awake. I feel right now we got the information to be able to reach one, teach one, to educate ourselves, to peak game, so we can help the youth awaken as well, because we don't want them to have to go through the flunked out stuff that we've had to go through based upon us not knowing about this universe that we live in and who controls it and what they do. Right. So let's get back to this. Let me say this again. Let me read this paragraph back again. Coming back to 1968, one of the most important events of that year was the release of the film 2001, The Space Odyssey. And it is about technology, and more specifically AI, or artificial intelligence, overtaking humanity. This phenomenon has a name, and it's called the singularity. It is when technology reaches a point that changes humanity forever. And also, people that got the stuff, who got the things, will be connected to the 5G even more. So they'll be really robotic. They needed them to take it so they can the 5G will be able to connect. Will sync with them, so they can manipulate the masses. So, fuck. It is when technology reaches the point and changes humanity forever, and there's no going back. In the sense that technology advances past the capability of human and begins to control humanity. So, also, when it comes to all these athletes, I'm thinking a majority of them are all the athletes around the world. I'm thinking majority of them are going to be synced with the 5G, are going to be singular, so we won't even know who they are, or we never really knew who they were. It's going to be some fucked up, crazy, flunked out shit, bro. I'm telling you, what the fuck? Anyways, consider this a concept that's much easier to grasp in 2020 than it is in 1968 when the film was made. And speaking of the year 2020, the year of the coronavirus, you will notice in gematria terms, the word singularity and coronavirus are the exact same in all 4 ciphers, both summoning to 155 in simple English. That's A is 1 through Z is 26. And Pythagorean is the numerology, A being 1, I going to 8, and then again H being 1, 1 through 9 numerology, okay? And then the reverse simple English 170 is 42 and 142 in reverse simple English. So that's A, Z being 1, A being 26. And then reverse Pythagorean. Again, Z being 1. And this is the numerology. Okay, 1 through 9. And rest assured, by the end of the book, you will have notes full on how all 4 of these numbers have been used ritualistically day after day to contrive the coronavirus narrative in mainstream headlines. But for now, do not forget the term coronavirus was coined in 1968, the start of the planned age of the cabal, an age with a planned outcome to use technology to control humanity to a much greater extent than it ever had before. Fast forward 52 years later, the number corresponding with prophecy and technology using Pythagorean gematria in 22, when we should all be seeing clearly. 2020 was supposed to give you your 2020 vision. You're supposed to see, you're supposed to wake up. You're supposed to have your awakening. You're supposed to see the vision. Not only your vision, but the vision that they have humanity headed towards. I got my vision, 2019, 2020. And if you're watching this, fucking you got your vision too. And like I said again, fast forward 52 years later, the number corresponding with prophecy and technology using Pythagorean gematria in 2020, when we should all be seeing clearly. And this reality has never been more apparent. For example, 2 of the world's largest technology companies, Apple and Google, are cooperating with the world governments to systematically track the location of every cell phone on the planet that are using their operating systems. For example, for the explained purpose of seeing if people are obeying what is being called the new normal. The laws being installed worldwide in the time of coronavirus. These laws include curfew, only traveling to certain locations, maintaining social distancing, wearing face coverings, and not posting or sharing information that goes against narratives. Keep in mind, these levels of surveillances are piggybacking off the Patriot Act, installed after 9/11, to give U.S. government the right to track and monitor all of its citizens. Furthermore, the Patriot Act led to the collecting of untold bits and data that are on cell phones, text messages, emails, library visits, bank records, medical records, etc. of its people. Also keep in mind, this is done in the snap of fingers to those who were told their entire lives they were free and protected from the government infringing on their privacy. And let us not forget, just prior to September 11th, Google was becoming a household name, and most people were getting small computers in their pockets that we call cell phones. It is a device specifically that has been given Big Brother a way to peek into the lives and communications of its people. And it is the same advice now in the wake of the coronavirus that is being used to track our every movement. And it is the same device that is evolving with built-in AI that automates our tasks for us and answers our questions by listening. And I repeat, always listening. Always listening. They always listening to us. They just want to know because they always listening to us. They're just like, oh my God, like, man, she thinks for herself and she's awakened and she's powerful. She knows she doesn't die. How are we going to attack her? Let's kill her spirit. Let's send, demonic energy and forces to her. You know what I'm saying? And to whoever's watching. They can't stand the fact that we wake the fuck up. I hate that shit. They're like, well, she's going to eventually get tired. She's going to eventually get tired because no one's listening. No one's listening to her. You know what I'm saying? She's going to eventually get tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to give up. She's going to give up. Bitch, I'm immortal, bitch. I'm never going to give up, bitch. What the fuck's wrong with y'all niggas? I ain't never going to give up. Nigga, I've been wasted 24 years of my whole life being asleep. You think I'm going to give up now? I just jumped in the game, bitch. I just jumped in the game. I'm just awake. I just jumped in the pool. You know what I'm saying? So y'all like to drown everybody in this bitch. Stars of water, bitch. Anyways, I just woke up. Niggas think we just gonna quit. No, motherfucker. No, we gonna help each other stay awake in this bitch. Teamwork made the dream work. And there's 7 billion of us. You know what I'm saying? There's 7 billion of us. And there's a lot more of us, okay? There's a lot more of us unseen and seen, bitch. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the shadow government niggas that are always watching us. Niggas is always keeping track of us. Oh, what is she doing? What is she doing? Nigga, I know y'all do dirty shit too. Y'all act like y'all innocent. Y'all ain't innocent. Oh my goodness. Y'all are fucking demons. Bitch, get the fuck out of here. So whatever thing they think they may have, that's why you should never stress. That's why I stopped stressing over this realm. Fuck, nigga. That's why I stopped stressing over this realm. Like, oh man, I don't give a fuck about what you quote unquote say I don't have. Bitch, niggas have it all and they still hate themselves. Niggas have it all and still don't love themselves. I give a fuck. Nobody ever is going to make me feel bad for having or not having the things that I have. Ever, ever, ever again. And you should just feel comfortable in that right, because, we were supposed to be given everything. Everything is our birthright. But we have fucking forces that be working against us. Be like, we're going to fucking do this. But you got to hack the matrix and take some time, take some energy work. But it's going to happen. As long as you fucking know yourself and you can think for yourself, you're on your way. You know what I'm saying? And all they can do is send more fucking roadblocks into you. And you're just like, well, I'm not going to fucking go die and bury my dick and pussy in the grave. I'll stand 10 toes and put on my armor and my crystals and gems and stay protected and high vibing. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning. We all learning, bitch. Anyways, they're all going to Yale too. Anyways, these niggas don't want to die. They want to connect themselves to a fucking computer so they'll never die. Niggas, they fucking weak ass motherfuckers. Anyways, you gotta talk to them like they're children, because that's what they are. Big ass children. Big ass children. Big ass children. Weak ass children. Weak ass motherfuckers. Tell them to suck whatever you got and suck it. You know what I'm saying? This is weak. They think they're gonna take us down, bitch. We're too powerful together because we speak the truth. The truth, that's what they hate. They hate the truth. They hate that we know the truth. They can't stand the truth. And they'll do anything they can. They'll kill us. No problem. But they can't go to everybody's door and kill us. That's why they got to give us the jail cell. They got to give us the key and have us lock our own selves in it. And you know what I'm saying? They got to give us the key. They got to give us the key, and we do it for ourselves. But if we realize we no longer want to be in the jail cell and we go outside, well, fuck, they're going to send other forces, and you know what I'm saying? We just got to peep game. Don't sell your soul. Anyways, fuck. There's homeless people that don't, you know what I'm saying? This realm ain't, Anyways, let me go back to this, because yeah, like, they got all our data. I be looking at it, I'll be like, damn, look at that shit I be looking at. I'll be like, oh, well. And remember, they created all this shit for us to look at in the first place. Why did you present that to me, bitch? To lower our vibration, to keep us in a low vibration, because we're more easily controlled that way. All right, I'm almost done. Let's get it. Okay, so we were here. Here it is. We're going to start at furthermore. Furthermore, the Patriot Act led to the collecting of untold bytes of data that are the phone calls, text messages, emails, library visits, bank records, medical records, etc. of its people. Also keep in mind, this was done in the snap of fingers to those who were told their entire lives they were free and protected from the government, infringing on their privacy. And let's not us forget, just prior to September 11th, Google was becoming a household name, and most people were getting small computers in their pockets that we call cell phones. It is this device specifically that has been given Big Brother a way to peep into the lives and communication of its people. And it is the same device now in the wake of the coronavirus that is being used to track our every movement. And it is the same device that is evolving with built-in AI that automates our tasks for us and answers our questions, always listening. I repeat, always listening. Also, not by chance, the coronavirus pandemic summoning to 56 to Pythagorean is also summoning to 56 in Pythagorean gematria is taking place at the same time 5G. Doesn't 5G look like a bit like 5.6? Technology is rolling out worldwide. That gives Big Brothers the system and surveillance capacity to track as many phones with detail as they are. Worse yet, U.S. citizens are being asked to snap photos of people violating the mandatory sheeple face coverings orders and send those images to government agency phone numbers so the facial recognition systems can be tested and improved by them. Jesus. Of course, all of these infringements are our liberties. Of course, all of these infringements on our liberties are of course, all of these infringements on our liberties are spoon-fed to us. They are introduced as caring gestured by authorities to keep us safe, that we should welcome, or else fear being called paranoid or conspiracy theorist by those around us. God forbid anyone question anything is the collective sentiment. And shouldn't we all feel safe now with the watchful eye of the government, of the world's government on us? As we'll get into later chapters, the U.S. surveillance system in the aftermath of coronavirus is known as the Trace Act, was introduced as H.R. 6666, not far from 666, the number of the beast from relevation. If you're not familiar with the 666 revelation, there is a prophecy that the people of the world will be made to take the mark of the beast on either their forehead or their right hand. And if they do not, they will not be able to buy or sell. In modern times, this could mean not be able to work or go to school or use any form of public transit or shop at most markets. And on the subject of the number 666, it is no accident that Stanley Kubrick, the director of the 2001 Space Odyssey, died 666 days before January 1st, 2001, on March 7th, 1999. It is also to be noted that March 7th is the 66th day of the year, and the number of the beast sums to 66 in the Pythagorean gematria. Again, 666 is referred in the Bible that the text is the 66. Again, 666 is referred to in the Bible. The text that is 66 books in length as the number of the beast. It's also not an accident that Microsoft, Bill Gates' old company, filed a patent on March 26, 2020 with the number W020200600606, clearly paying tribute to 666. This patent is for the future cryptocurrency that will monitor your rate of body movement, that will in turn calculate your earnings based upon your effort. Imagine what that will lead to. Sadly, these things should come as no surprise because the number 666 has been associated with the computers since Apple priced their first consumer computer at $666.66 in 1976. This becomes all more fascinating when you learn Sumerian and reverse Sumerian gematria, because words such as computer and internet equate to 666 using them. With these ciphers, you multiply the simple English cipher and reverse a simple English cipher by 6. Okay, this cipher follows. Okay, so you just multiply. So Sumerian, you're going to use that number 6 that they use and multiply the numbers in reverse. Okay. Because I was born on the 6th. I was born on June 6th, the 6th month, on the 6th day. Excuse me. Well, quote unquote, I was born 6/6/96. So, I mean, very interesting I chose these dates. Very interesting that I chose these dates to come into the world. So, I mean, fuck. Anyways, Sumerian gematria, as you can see, A is 6, B is 6. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2, because in English, simple gematria, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, 4 is D, 4 is D. Yeah, E is 5. So just times the number by 6. And then the reverse Sumerian, you do the same thing. 7 is 7. Z is 1 in reverse simple English gematria. So you times Z by 6, 1, Y by is 2 in reverse. You get it. You know what I'm saying? You get it. It is Sumerian gematria where computers equate to 666, and it is reverse Sumerian where internet equates to 666. And while we're at it, another word summoning to 666 in reverse Sumerian is Genesis, the opening book of the Bible that tells the story of Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit that was not to be eaten from. Now, think of Apple's logo, the fruit with a missing bite. And for the most hardcore and coincidental theorists who might possibly be reading this page at the very moment, are you seriously going to shrug off $666.60 price as a coincidence? Surely this isn't, nor is HR 6666. For a little more For a little more learning, there is one more cipher that you must know, and it is the most important outside the base ciphers that you learned in Chapter 1. It is known as Jewish gematria. It pays tribute to the order of the English. It pays tribute to the order of the English letters from when they are part of the Latin alphabet. This cipher also pays tribute to the Hebrew gematria and the Greek isoprophy in ways it assigns number values to letters. Before I reveal the cipher, I must inform you that isoprophy sums to 666 with reverse Sumerian. And remind you that Revelations 13:18 about the number of the beast, 666, is Greek isoprophy riddle. And you see the Jewish gematria. So it has the numerology. 8 through 1 is 9, right? And then K, so everything multiplies by 10, 20, 30, 40, and then again by 100. Very interesting. All right. As was mentioned earlier, NFL sums to 66 in this cipher. Another relevant calculation to know based upon the connections of the Another relevant calculation to know based on the contents of this chapter is the Al-Qaeda sums to 102 with Jewish gematria, and 9/11 attacks were said to have lasted 102 minutes. Again, connecting back to Art of War. They had made about the film. They even made a film about this fact titled 102 Minutes That Changed America. Better yet, Tisha B'Av sums to 9/11 with Jewish gematria. And it is the day to remember the destruction of the two temples, similar to the Twin Towers. To get a little mathematical, 911 is the 156th prime number, and false flag sums to 156 in Jewish gematria. It's only figures then from the date underground nuclear testing concluded. September 23rd, 1992 to the date of the 93 World Trade Center bombings was 156 days later, reminding that Robert Kennedy, summoning to 156 in simple English, was shot on June 5th, the 156th day of the year. And oddly enough, there are only two words summoning. There are only two numbers, zeros through 100. And when written out as words, sum to 156 with simple English. There are 33 and 28. Space Odyssey also sums to 156 with simple English, and Kennedy sums to 33 with Pythagorean. This matters because the World Trade Centers existed for 33 years, but they were only open for 28, having their grand opening on April 4th, 1973, in light of the April 4th recall, where we began with Martin Luther King Jr. being killed on April 4th in 1968 in a non-leap year. April 4th is the 94th day of the year, connecting to the fact that the World Trade Center sums to 94 with reverse Pythagorean gematria, and Terra sums to 94 with simple English gematria. Thus, from the grand opening, their fate was sealed. As we mentioned prior, the Twin Towers fell 44 days after Tisha B'Av, a Jewish holiday that concluded July 29, 2001 in that year. The holiday is also known as the 9th of Av, summoning to 44 with reverse Pythagorean. To bring us to what I said about the beginning of the chapter, there is a number that ties together the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, JFK, and Abraham Lincoln, and that number is 144. When you write out the word 44 and the date April 4th, they both sum to 144 in simple English gematria, the same as Jesuit order. So MLK was shot on April 4th. Robert Kennedy was reportedly dead at 1:44 a.m. on June 6th. JFK, the 44th term president, died at the start of Sagittarius, summoning to 144 with simple English, same as Kennedy curse. And Abraham Lincoln was shot April 14th or 144 in the year 1865. Even more, MLK's assassin not only died 44 days after his birthday, but he also died on the date of the 144 numerology, April 23rd, 1998. 4 plus 26 plus 19 plus 98 equals 144. As we covered in Chapter 1, this number not only connects to the Jesuit order, but to the United States of America. More importantly, it is a number that represents time. In Jewish gematria, the word time sums itself to 144, complementing clock, summoning to 44 with simple English. Beyond gematria, consider that each day on Earth, there are 1,440 minutes, and the square root of 144 is 12, the number we track the months of the year with, and the number of hours we divide the day with. Like I said at the end of the first chapter, time is everything to these people, and the cabal led by the Jesuits lays down their rituals daily like clockwork, using the biblical scripture where 144 is the relevant number, especially to Hebrew gematria studies, largely because of how the number 144,000 is referred in Revelation 7. For a few last points, JFK and RFK were killed in Dealey Plaza and the Ambassador's Hotel, respectively, both summoning to 54, same as Jesuit order, and reminding us that the things dictating time, the sun sums of 54 with simple English. Furthermore, one of Lincoln's assassins, John Surratt, was a Jesuit agent born John Harrison Surratt, equating to 266 with simple English and 95 Pythagorean, both numbers that were extremely specific to the Jesuit order, and that will come up time and time as we progress through the pages of this book. Plus, let us not forget MLK was killed on the 95th day of 1968. All right, and that concludes chapter 2. All right, that concludes chapter 2 of that concludes chapter 2 of the book, and thank y'all for tuning in. If you're watching the replay of it, thank y'all. I mean, you're amazing, and let's continue to awaken. And I think what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday. Yeah. So I'm gonna end this video again. Shout out to everyone that does get to watch the video. I'm saying thank goodness you chose yourself, because you needed to. Period. Point blank. But shout out to everyone. Y'all have a good Friday or Venus Day, and stay up. All right. Deuce.